Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'm going to make a presentation on digital divide, and I'm going to look into the impact of digital divide in my classroom, the initiative that my institution has taken to tackle digital divide on my campus. I'll look into also digital equity and why am I interested in digital equity? The area of digital equity that is of paramount importance to me. Before I move forward, I'd like to introduce myself to you all. I am Tolulope Oladipo. I am making this presentation in partial fulfillment of EDTC 600 at the University of Maryland, University College. Uh, Before we move forward, first I want to explain what we mean by digital divide. What is digital divide? To me, digital divide is a term generally used to describe disparities or inequalities in access to and use of digital technologies, with particular reference to computers and the internet. By extension, digital divide refers to inequality, inequality, unfairness, discrepancy in access to and the use of digital technologies, that is, electronic information technology, once again with particular reference to computers and the internet. The term also extends to the social, we're looking at the social economic inequalities with regards to the impact of information and communication technology. Now, why am I saying social and economic inequality? Now, I'm looking at the digital division between the affluent, that's the wealthy, and the poor or the less privileged. As you can see in this image that you have, you can see there's a division, there's a gap in this image, okay, between the two individuals standing there. That's an image representing digital division. So it's hard for the image on the left hand to go to the image on the right hand. That is just digital division. Some are digitally at the upper level, while others are digitally at the lower level. And this is in terms of access, usage, attitude, perspective to information technology. Now, once again, according to Stanford Computer Science Department, to this department, digital divide extends to the growing gap between the underprivileged member of the society, specifically the poor, rural, elderly, handicapped, who do not have access to computers or the internet, and the wealthy, middle class, and young Americans living in urban and suburban areas who have access. But this is totally right. I agree with this definition. Let's look at it this way. Digital division between the affluent, the rich, and the poor, between the so-called able-use, and individual with disabilities. Some electronic information technology are not accessible at all to those with disabilities. Okay, even though they have adaptive technology to use, despite that, sometimes they cannot even access these technologies. That is digital division. Now, I'm going to go into the impact of digital divide in my classroom, the impact, and then the issues and the concern that really interest me as far as digital division is concerned. Now, I'm using this image to explain the concept in the classroom to you. Look at this image. Look at the classroom to my right. Okay, in this classroom, they still use the chalkboard. That means digitally they are still behind. Okay, but in the other room, in the other classroom to my left, over here is a smart board. Okay, so this classroom it's advanced digitally, and then we can imagine the learning outcomes that come from each of these two classes, either the classroom to my left or the classroom to my right. looking at the condition under which students are learning in each of these classrooms. Digital divide may have limited many of my students to having access to technology. The situation occurs when some technologies are needed and they are not readily available to my students to use due to lack of technological funding and grants. Okay, so the next slide will take us through the impact. I'm seeing the impact of digital division in my classroom, bringing about lack or low competitive power for my students. When students don't have digital technology or electronic technology to invent, to be creative, to learn, then that way they become less competitive. Back to this image, look at these two classrooms. The classroom to my right and the classroom to my left. I mean, it's obvious that the students learning from the left, that's from this digitally well-equipped classroom, will be more competitive than this class in terms of information technology. I said it may be difficult for my students to compete with their counterparts in schools located in the so-called wealthy and affluent counties. It is sometimes difficult to innovate some 21st century skills in my classrooms because we don't have the technology to bring about these innovations. Okay? This is a scenario. I remember I was to provide a training to students on a particular computer application. The best I could do was to tell the students to bring their own devices because the available computer labs on campus could not accommodate the large number of students that enrolled for that training. That is digital division. As a result of digital division, my class sometimes cannot move at the right pace because the available technology may not be accessible to all users. And that's true. That makes them to be less innovative, to be less creative, to make use of the 21st century skills that are needed for them to succeed. There are technologies, like I'm saying, there are technologies that were introduced that cannot be used by all. Okay, now we're looking at the use of the technology is not accessible to all. For instance, individuals with disabilities, the technology sometimes cannot be accessed by them. They can't use them. I remember a particular computer application that was to be used to teach math. I have mathematical images here. Look at the math equations like this. And we were to use an application, specifically Hawks Learning, to teach math in one of my classes. And this application was not designed to accommodate students with disabilities in my class who were to solve mathematical equations like this that I'm showing to you. And as a result of the digital division, these students in my class who depended on text-to-speech or screen readers like Joe could not access those equations. I spent so much time with the publisher of the application to determine how we can make the technology accessible to the student. But that semester we could not, so they were to look into that issue at subsequent release of the learning tool. So what I did was to go about to get some adaptive technology which was still not convenient for the student. So I have the list of some adaptive technology that was used by those students to access the technology at that time. Okay, so we're able to use adaptive technology like HACCP MathML, Central Access Reader. And this was a free software provided by the University of Washington, and then accessible equation editor. It was not as convenient to those students as it would have been if they could tackle those equations directly from the learning tool. So It's obvious that digital division affects student learning outcomes and performance. Students get inefficient instructions, so they don't get to perform well like their counterparts who had access, just in this example, to the learning tools in my class. Students who lack access to or who could not use the technology or who are deprived of the use of technology will most likely perform lesser than their counterparts who do not have to face similar situations. Another area I'm looking at is the fact that digital divide sometimes promotes learning and instructional deficiency. There's no doubt about it, because when a student has taken all that time, to look for a way to make to get access to technology or to get opportunity to use the technology. For instance, some students from economically disadvantaged families could not afford the required computer application for some classes that I have taught. Had gone halfway into the semester sometimes before they get this application, or sometimes they have to wait until they get their refund, their financial aid refund. So sometimes I have to give a paper-based quiz just to accommodate these students in my class. It's just it's so pathetic how this situation can be. So generally, digital division is time consuming. You've seen the whole time I've taken, trying to get my students to use those technology. It brings about poor learning outcomes and performance. It brings about inaccessible learning tools. All of this have explained. Now, initiative. There are some initiative really as regards digital divide. That promotes digital equity that really interests me, such as the CON. Through digital equity, such as that of CON, beneficial students can now have access to robust technology as expected of 21st century students. These initiatives sometimes provide free access and free use to digital and electronic technology to students. And now, the question that comes to mind is my school effort and intervention in promoting digital equity. At my school, we've provided well-equipped computer labs with latest technologies such as the VDI by VMware for students to use. These are robust technology that students on my campus can use. Okay, and then we also provide internet access to everyone free of charge. Everyone on campus gets access. Even in the dormitories, students get free access to both the wired and wireless technology. The sweetest part of this is when you're off campus, in your house, you still get access to internet. On my campus, all you have to do is to register and then turn on your hotspot. Another thing my institution has done, to promote digital equity, to help harness digital inequality, is providing specialized software free of charge to students to use on campus. So many software like Adobe Suite, Microsoft Suite, SPSS, courseware, and so many other software are available free of charge in my campus for students to use. Another interesting area where my campus has intervened is the fact that as student faculty, as long as you're legal on campus, that means for a student you have to be enrolled as a staff or faculty. You have to be hired on my campus. As long as you're not fictitious, you have access to some application suite free of charge as a result of my institution's partnership with many computer software designer and provider. Another very area where my institution has come in is the fact that we allow easy access to technology use for registered individuals with disabilities on campus. The way forward, schools should try to apply for grants to fund technological advancements, and then the less developed community should be developed so as to remain competitive like the affluent one. There should be justiceable contribution and distribution of resources. Okay? Alright, I want to thank you all for listening to me. So far, these are the points, these are the ways I think we can move forward to promote digital equality. We're looking at fairness